listening to Republic Broadcasting Network because you can know the truth. What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Greetings from Santa Claus, Indiana. And beautiful sky today. Not a cloud out there, but it is cold. Oh, is it cold? And it's kind of interesting. We had the guys from the local cable company come over this morning. They installed our internet and cable TV, and they noticed the Hawaii plates on the car and said, "Boy, this must be a real shock." I said, "Yeah, it really is." And so anyway, it's going to take a few more days for me to get my office back together. We got Claire's office back together. Going to take a few days for me to get my office back together, and then we'll be back to the original broadcasting system and not this little portable situation. Anyway, it is October 14th. It is Columbus Day, and I know it's politically incorrect to say that. We're supposed to call it Indigenous Peoples Day, but that doesn't really make much sense to me because everybody's indigenous from wherever it is they come from. The English are indigenous to Great Britain, or Rome in some cases. The Spanish are indigenous to Spain. The Chinese are indigenous to China. Just saying here in North America, they're indigenous. Well, it's accurate. It's just a little misleading. Anyway, so today is the day when Columbus stepped on the shore in Hispaniola and loudly proclaimed in Spanish, "I hereby claim all of these lands on behalf of Queen Isabel." Who are all these people standing around? And then here's where it gets a really kind of bizarre. Columbus cites a prayer in Latin. Obviously, the people of Hispaniola not only do not speak Spanish, they don't speak Latin. And in it basically says that Columbus is under orders from the Pope to Catholicize all the lands that are being conquered or discovered, and that if the indigenous people get hurt in the process, it's really all their own fault. Shouldn't get upset about that. Typical European explorer popeness type behavior. What can I tell you? And a little bit of history here. Most people don't know this part of the story. When Columbus first set out on the voyage, everybody thought he was nuts. Queen Isabella literally sold her own jewelry to fund the expedition. And Columbus asked for some concessions. He said, if I pull this off, if I find a way to sail to the Orient that's faster than going around Africa and everything, then I want to be named Admiral of the Ocean Seas and the governor of all the territories that we found. And of course, the problem was there was that big chunk of land called the Americas was in the way. It wasn't until the Panama Canal was built that they got all of that. But the reason they call this land America instead of Columbia had to do with a gentleman named Amerigo Vespucci. And the King and Queen of Spain understood that Columbus, from their point of view, had sort of failed. He didn't find the route. He didn't find riches. He didn't find gold. What he should have done is paid more attention to those natives who were drying those leaves in the sun, because he could become the richest man in the world importing tobacco back to Europe. They had no idea it was out there. But instead, the King and Queen sent Amerigo Vespucci and said, find us something interesting. And he actually sighted and explored the mainland of the North American continent. And that's why we're all called America now. All right, so you've had your history lesson for the day here. And let's get into the news because there's a lot going on here. Over in Japan, they're dealing with Typhoon Hagibis. 2 people are already dead. This is the most powerful storm for decades. It's hitting Japan, and the streets of Tokyo were deserted. Everybody's staying inside. Shops, factories, and subways have been shut down as a precaution. The Japanese government said the storm could be the strongest to hit Tokyo since 1958. And Yasushi Kushihara, from Japan's meteorological agency, is saying, be ready for rainfall of the kind you have never experienced. Take all necessary measures to preserve your life and safety. And apparently, there's been so much rain there, it seems to have actually triggered an earthquake near Chiba. So they're having a rough time over there. We still don't know what, if any, damage is occurring to all that stored up radioactive water at Fukushima, but I guess we're going to find out. All right, the other big news that's going on here in the world is the situation over in Turkey and Syria. And I'm going to start out here by saying that I think Donald Trump assumed that Erdogan was bluffing about invading Syria if the U.S. forces left. And if I'm right, it's a big botch up here. But apparently, 100,000 people are fleeing the area. The Turks hit Kurdish zones in Syria. The White House, of course, is threatening sanctions. Sanction you because, you don't like what you're doing. And a lot of people are saying this is an opportunity for ISIS to regroup and rearm. And that may be part of what certain vested interests in the Pentagon want to see happen. It is now known that ISIS terrorists are, in fact, fighting alongside the Turkish regime forces inside Syria. So they're back. Now, Trump is trying to defend his withdrawal from Syria by saying, do you really think we should go to war with a fellow NATO member? And I think the answer to that, of course, is no, of course we don't want to do that. There's so many wars out there already. It's just like, what are you going to do? Everybody's fighting everybody out there. And when this all first started, I said, this could easily spin out of control. And I think that's exactly what's happening here. And Trump is trying to recover from his goof, because it is a goof. So Turkey has bombed a convoy of foreign journalists. That means they're not going to get favorable press, and aid workers, killing 14 in a Syrian border town. So people are dying. People are being bombed. And let's see, 5 civilians, including a journalist, died after they were attacked as they arrived at the Syrian border town of Ras Al Ain that Turkish allied forces have seized. So they're trading the territories, back and forth. Apparently, Trump has okayed $50 million to Syrian aid societies to try and quell some of the outrage over the U.S. military pullout and the Turkish offensive. Well, who Trump needs to kiss and make up with, of course, is the Kurds. They're feeling very much betrayed and stabbed in the back here. Apparently, Turkish-backed forces have cut off U.S. troops after seizing a key highway in Syria. Okay, we have a caller on the line, Steve in West Virginia. Aloha, Steve. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike. I just want to say, man, these guys on the media everywhere, I mean, all over the weekend up till 3 o'clock in the morning, they have been going off on this. And I'll tell you, when you see that, Donald Trump's done a good thing. Those troops up in Syria, they were being used as cover They were just up there, so the Russians and the Syrians and the Turkey couldn't bomb them, while the CIA used ISIS to run all sorts of operations. And now that they're unprotected and they're withdrawn, Turkey, Putin, and all of them can come in and take over Syria, and that's going to be the best thing in the world for the United States, is to get completely out. Donald Trump is right on this. And like I said, when you see all these people, all these talking heads, all these networks coming on, and they're furious about this, you know Donald Trump's finally done a good thing. That's my opinion.
Well, I agree it's a good thing. And he did campaign on ending some of this military adventurism that's been going on around the world. And I would like to see it happen. The issue is, as I said before, it appears to be spinning out of control, and there are going to be repercussions that I don't think Trump and his advisors have foreseen.
Yeah, but like, what kind of repercussions are you talking about?
Well, apparently Putin is getting ready to sort of act as mediator between Syria and Turkey. Now, Turkey's been taking the position that they refuse to come to any kind of terms with Syria while Assad is in power. That was an agenda that was handed to them by the U.S. government. And now that the U.S. government is sort of pulling out, all of a sudden, Erdogan is now saying, yeah, it's time to start talking to Assad, and Putin's going to come on in. He's out there. He's calling it his deal of the century. And what is really significant is that Putin is saying Russia retains the option of sending troops back into Turkey and Syria in the event of foreign troops who have no right to be there continue to cause mischief. And again, this is a pointed reference to the United States of America. It's a repeat of what they were saying in the UN Security Council last week.
Well, that's a good thing, though, because Russia is the only one that's been invited to come in there in the first place. The U.S. is in there illegally.
Yes.
And if there's any resurgence of ISIS, the Russians will take care of it and kill them. I'm confident of that, just like they did. The United States did not kill ISIS. Russia did. And to tell you the truth, I think that Trump, Erdogan, and Putin all got together at the last summit, which was about 3 weeks ago, and I think they planned this. So
I'm sure
I see it as a good thing, Mike. I really do.
Overall, I agree with you. I think this is a good thing. These wars are bankrupting this country. They are destroying America's reputation around the world. And we're literally seeing this schism open up here in the United States of America between those of us who think we should all be living in peace versus those whose personal fortunes are based on perpetual war. And just how ugly that could get, I don't know. You look at what's going on in Paris, France right now with the yellow vests, or what's happening in Ecuador. And it almost seems like the entire world is just coming to the brink of this confrontation between people who just want to live their lives and those who think that, going on out and killing all these other people is a good idea.
Yeah, Mike, I agree. One other quick thing is that I just want to say, it might be good to take the position that, we just need to get out now, no matter what, because something could happen with this impeachment or something else, and then we may never get out. We may be stuck in there another, 5 or 10 years. So even if there may be some bad things initially that come out of it, it's better to get out now. Just withdraw right now and get out of there. Trump has finally done a good thing, or at least half of a good thing. And hopefully he'll withdraw more troops from other areas. And, like I said, I'm going to call the White House tomorrow and applaud him, just for making all these people mad.
Yes.
So that's all I got to say.
All right. Thanks an awful lot there. We're going to let you go here. And we have another caller on the line, Mike in Brazil. Aloha, Mike. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. I called 10 minutes ago. There was another host. They were talking about the Second Amendment. Apparently, they had a guy who very knowledgeable about the Second Amendment. But he made a fatal mistake. He said that the Second Amendment, well, at least this is what I got from him when he said it, that the Second Amendment does not cover knives. And I beg to differ.
Yes.
The Second Amendment makes no special mention about firearms or knives. It's arms. The right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Okay, now, knives are weapons. I use them all the time. I'm a knife man. I'm very good with knives. I can throw a knife at 20 feet away and hit the guy square in the head with the blade first. Okay, so this guy was saying this fine. Then he jumped over to this ongoing civil litigation between Posner, you know Posner from Sandy Hook, and apparently Posner won the lawsuit against the guy with no jury. Now they need a jury to decide the amount of money that Posner is entitled to based on a libel suit that he filed against the guy, Fetzer, okay?
Wolfgang Halberg.
No, he was not mentioned. This guy never mentioned Wolfgang. I know him very well. I correspond with him. I know Wolfgang. I speak German fluently, okay? So I speak with the guy. No, he was not mentioned, at least now, on your the past show that before your own. So I was wondering, how come this Posner kid shows up, Noah was his name, shows up in Afghanistan, killed in a mass shooting? Yeah,
I know a lot of people saw the picture, and they think, it does appear to be the same kid.
Mike, I have his picture. I use a special software match each part of the face. It's him.
Yeah.
There is no doubt about him. Okay. I have like what you might call the facial recognition software. Okay. So I ran his picture and I superimposed it over the other one. It's him. Okay. So how can a kid die twice in mass shootings? That's my question. Secondly, why wasn't this guy Fetzer allowed to produce, exculpatory evidence to get him out of this problem with the libel suit? Because according to law, he is entitled to the process called discovery. Now, the discovery process was denied to him for some reason.
Yes.
What I would have done if what I would have done if I was Fetzer, I would have asked for bringing the bodies out of the grave of these kids, part of the process of discovery. And no judge would deny that because the whole case rests on this. And I would say, fine, you think I'm guilty of libel? Fine, let's go and exhume the bodies. Let's find out what is in that coffin. And I tell you what, I would have won because the judge would have denied me the request. And the denial itself would have been a win for me. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. Okay, so I don't know. If I think about these things, why can these lawyers think about these things? I mean, they're trained in this business. I'm not trained in this. I'm not a lawyer.
I'm sure that there has been a tremendous amount of pressure brought to bear on everybody involved in this case to just, keep it hidden, make it go away. I mean, you don't even need to think about exhumation of the bodies. The big question is, was that school even active at the time? And the indications are that's exactly right. The school it was closed.
Mike, the school was decommissioned in 2008. It's in big bold letters. You find it on the internet. It has been decommissioned because it had problems, structural damage, and all kinds of stuff, mold all over the place, cracked stairs, no handrails, no nothing like that.
Mike,
yes.
Mike, stay on the line. I'm going to put you on hold.
Okay.
We'll come right back to you after these few words from our sponsor.
corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington, too. You know, it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. But I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the seven seas. Yeah, I want to be a pirate.
Alrighty, welcome back to our show. Here we're talking with Mike in Brazil. We're talking about the Sandy Hoax shooting and all the lawsuits that came out of it, and some of the people who were spooked by the lawsuits and backed down, like Alex Jones. But you're absolutely right. The indications are the school was not actually in use at the time this mass shooting was supposed to take place. We know that, first of all, from Wolfgang Halbig himself, who pointed out, he said, look, it's all being used for storage. There's mold everywhere. And we also know that from records of internet access from that school, which stopped in 2002. So
Mike, you're right. Thank God you got me right after the commercial because I got disconnected, so I had to call right back in. So
okay.
Anyway, yeah, you're right about this because the internet records, and not only the internet records, but the phone records show an absence of any activity whatsoever. So how can a school fully functional not have any telephone activity, let alone internet? Because everybody now is using internet.
Of course, they can't. The problem here is there is so much at stake on this case from the government's point of view. I mean, the government dares not ever let the American people think that, they're being lied to, even though we are. because they're trying to stay in control. And clearly they're afraid right now because of social media and the internet, shows like this one. And you can just see every day they crack down harder and harder and harder. And we're losing our First Amendment along with our Second Amendment. They basically want to create a society in which there is the official news directly from the view screen on your wall, and then everything else is just automatically by default, a lie.
Yeah, well, this is exactly what I was saying, because the way they attack people now, they file libel suit against people who question. The guy wrote a book, Nobody Died at Sandy Hook. Okay, so based on that book, the guy got sued for libel. My question is, okay, to dispel any myths, okay, let's go and exhume the bodies, because no paramedic was allowed to enter the school, meaning nobody has actually seen any dead body in that school, which is enough reason to doubt. Okay, that's crucial. So let's go ahead. Let's obtain a court order to exhume at least one body to find out if somebody's really buried in that grave plot. Now, not only that, but the thing is, guy Posner, or Posner, whatever they pronounce his name, he was also pictured as having been killed in a mass shooting in Afghanistan. I have his picture here. The same kid. How can a kid die twice? And not only that, but making reference back to the other show before your own. Okay, the guy said that the Second Amendment covers military weapons. True, it does.
Yes,
because that's the purpose of the Second Amendment, is to cover the right of people to keep and bear military-type weapons, not hunting rifles, because every rifle is a hunting rifle, okay?
Yes.
Every one of them. And the guy made a good point. He said, why do they call them assault weapons? Why don't they call them defense weapons? Because they're used more in defense situations than they are in assault situations. So the characteristic of a weapon to be called assault or defense depends on the situation in which you use it. Now, if you use it to defend your own home, of course, it's called a defensive weapon. Now, if you use it to assault a bank, to rob a bank, then it's called an assault weapon. Now, since the incidence of people using military-style weapons to assault banks is practically zero, most of them use handguns, they make no sense. I really get really mad when I hear these people, the gun grabbers, trying to justify disarming the population just like Pol Pot did. Anybody that wore reading glasses, Pol Pot executed them because he thought they were intellectuals because they were wearing eyeglasses. And so did Mao Zedong. Okay? I don't know about Stalin, but I know about Mao Zedong. He killed everybody, executed with a shot in the back of the head because they were wearing eyeglasses. The same thing with Pol Pot. Probably got the idea from Mao Zedong. So, I'm thinking, I hope this guy is hearing me. I hope he's listening to your show. The Second Amendment protects the right to keep and bear any kind of weapons. Swords, knives, slingshots, you name it. Anything that's included in the category of weapons, okay? The Second Amendment protects it. And no O'Rourke or Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama can deny that right to the people. Just because some lunatics go out and shoot up a school, that's not a reason to go and disarm the people. It's just like saying, we have a couple of drunk drivers, let's ban all the cars because people drive drunk, okay? So I don't want to be deprived of my right to drive because some idiot goes to a bar, gets knocked out completely, and then goes behind the wheel and drives and kills some people. So, anyway, Mike, this is what I have to say.
That's a good analogy. Anyway, Mike, we got to let you go. We got to take another break for commercials.
All right, take it easy.
We'll be back with another phone call after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. This product is superb. I have been taking it for about a year now, and I can feel my cardiovascular system run like a Swiss watch. I definitely recommend this product for anyone that has high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and heart palpitations, A+. It's potent, but it works. I have been waking up for the past 3 years with numb hands, and a week into using Extendivite, my numb hands seem to have cleared up. My circulation was off, and now it's back on track. So I'm happy. I feel so energized, and I have my husband on it now. My mother-in-law has cholesterol problems, so I bought her a bottle as well. Thank you so much. Love the product. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more, plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AirOutfitting.com.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. And with reference to what Mike was saying about, the so-called assault rifles. Ooh, it's an assault rifle. The actual statistics are that long guns, like the AR-15, the AK-47, are actually among the safest guns because they don't get used except at the target range. The reason the gun grabbers are focused on those weapons is because those are the weapons that would allow the American people to resist government in the event of a confrontation. That's what it's really all about. They're afraid of us. The people in Washington, D.C., I mean, look how psychotic they're behaving these days. They're really afraid they're losing control of the American people. And they are, because we've been lied to too much. All right, let's grab another phone call here. Jim in Illinois, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. We were talking, at least you were talking about Donald Trump and his situation in Turkey. His problem was, and he has a lot of problems, he didn't look at the big picture. He just thought, I'll take some, and he said, I'll take some troops out of Syria, and I'm doing something that my supporters want. But what does he do the next day, or a few days later? He's sending 3,000 troops to Saudi Arabia and weapons. So how does that make sense?
It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. In fact, what really made it look weird was the fact that he's sending them more of the same weapons that completely and utterly failed to protect the refinery attack.
Of Turkey, this is a guy who you do not play around with. Do you remember back in 2015 when he was able to shut down the military base in Turkey?
Yep.
The American military base? In those bases, or that base, they have nuclear weapons.
Yes.
You know, and I'm wondering, this is something I mentioned to you last week. Did Trump do this as a favor to the president of Turkey, or was he concerned about his businesses in Turkey being taken over?
I think probably it was a combination of the both of them. But the question I think I responded to you last week was, why aren't the people who are supposedly managing Trump's fortunes getting out of these war-torn areas? Because obviously you're looking at high-risk targets. That as people get very unhappy with Donald Trump, they're going to start, they're flinging in missiles already at each other's ships. It's only a matter of time before some of Trump's buildings get hit.
I would agree. Now, finally, do you think Donald Trump should be charged with war crimes considering what's going on?
That's a good question. I think the answer should be yes. I don't know that it is because I don't really know war crime law. Basically, war crimes are something that the losers in the war have to deal with. Hardly anybody that's on the winning side of a conflict gets charged with war crimes.
Right. And finally, how many allies do we have now? Everyone's pissed off with America.
Yeah, that's a big problem. We don't have any allies left. That's definitely a big problem. We've angered Iraq, we've angered Iran, we've angered Syria, we've angered Afghanistan. The only friend we still have over there, of course, is Israel, and that's only going to last as long as we continue to send them weapons and money.
Right. So, well, Michael, you take care.
Thank you very much. I will. And we're going to switch over to Steve Elkins. Aloha, Steve. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, I think I can answer the war crimes question there. It seems like presidents are immune to being charged with war crimes because you have to prove intent. And they always seem to say, well, I meant well, or the other excuse they use is I had faulty intelligence. How many times have we heard that? So,
oh, yeah, we heard that all through Iraq.
Yeah, it's hard to make that one stick if you say, especially since the United States, because we're the knight in shining armor riding the white horse. But hard to stick that on any president, especially while they're in office, because of you have to show intent. But
yes.
What I called about was Sandy Hook. Talking about Sandy Hook here, some interesting things. I talked to Paul Preston, who's part of Agenda 21 Radio, Red State Radio, and him having a past in school administration. He pointed out to me that the school was a non-operating school, but improved it that there were no work orders in this school whatsoever, which is impossible because kids tear up stuff left and right.
Yes.
There's always stacks and stacks of work orders that have to be fixed, maintenance, repairs, and none whatsoever. So that's proven fact that this school was actually shut down. It was dormant.
Yes.
Number two, of one of your listeners was calling in about the cemetery. Did we see the bodies? All this stuff, and I assume there's some technology out there, whether it's sonar to bounce off. But I would assume there's a way to go into a cemetery and to visualize down below a body.
Ground-penetrating radar.
Yeah, I got a suspicion you got a cemetery out there with a lot of sandbags in them.
Yeah, cenotaphs.
That's my guess. Yeah. And the last but least, I didn't let you know that evidently Jim Fetzer is on to something because he's pretty much banned. I have found nothing from him on YouTube anymore. So with his last book, Sandy Hook and other things, there's nothing more of Jim Fetzer on YouTube for videos.
Okay.
Well, he's on to him. He's on to him.
Well, we're all on to him right now, and the question is, I don't find the title of the book, Nobody Died at Sandy Hook, as libelous in and of itself. It must have been something that he recklessly wrote inside the book that could be said, this is definitely libel, and we're going to sue, and again, just beat him down. I mean, this is going to wreck the rest of his life. And this is a guy who spent his entire life working in school safety, and he's basically being punished. He's a victim of the government's lies and deceptions, just like Claire and I are. We never got the life that we had worked for because, we pointed out, it doesn't look like Vince Foster killed himself. It looks like he was murdered here. Anyway, I understand you're taking over for John Stedmiller today after my show, if you want to make a little preview announcement.
Yeah, I'm going to cover items that I did not cover on my own show yesterday, Sunday. I didn't follow my own advice, Michael. I had a little problem with dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, and I totally crashed yesterday, cramped up, and was unable to do my show. So I'm essentially going to do my talking points are going to be what I didn't discuss on Sunday, but a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So I'll be there.
All right, well, that'll be just fine. I understand, the importance of talking points and having them in order and everything. And unfortunately, when I got here, I'm still using a relative's home to do this broadcast from. And I power up the old Windows 10 machine, and the first thing it says is OpenOffice is updating. And all the talking points I had left over from Friday disappeared. So it was a bit of a panic pulling the show together here at the last second.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me throw something by you. Can I throw something by you real quick here?
Sure.
I was sending you and a couple others a response, a comment to an article about the LGBT agenda, LGBTQ agenda, and it was really strange because I do believe some of my words were pulled out before I could actually finish it and send it. And I could not send it to you or anybody else. It took a long time to actually get it out there. But there must be an algorithm of words, I assume there are, that for some reason somebody decided, I got to look at this email that Steve is sending, and shut me down for a while and pretty much froze up my computer. It did go to draft, and I could send it later, but initially it would not allow me to send the comment to you or anybody else.
Look at the evolution of what's going on. I mean, first of all, they had the corporate media under their control. Now they're pushing for social media to be completely brought out of their control. And the last phase of this whole situation is going to be to not let us share ideas in email. And so I'm not at all surprised that this happened.
Yeah. Well, that's it for me. I'll see you in a few.
All right. Yes. And we're going to switch over to James in Long Island. Aloha, James. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes. Hello, Mike. I remember, months ago, you would do a solid 5-10 minutes on international news, and especially news from the Middle East as these wars were heating up.
Yes.
In Syria. And, the last several months or so, I noticed you barely touch the topic, and then somebody calls in and they take you off topic.
Well, they didn't really take me off topic because I still have the stuff here in the talking points list. And, as soon as I'm done with your phone call, I'm going to get right back into the international news. But being a news program, I'm driven by the available news. And if there's a lot of news about blood and gore and guts and everything, that's going to get covered. And, if there isn't, I sort of have to follow the lead, if you will, and say, okay, it's a slow news day. And it's one of the ugly ironies of working in talk radio that the better the news, the worse your show is going to be. And the worse the news is, the better your show is going to be. And that's kind of a hard, situation to deal with.
Okay. Well, let me give you my take on what I think is going on with America's green light to Erdogan to invade, basically to invade northern Syria.
Yeah.
What they want to do is they want to wreck any cooperation or an emerging semi-alliance between Turkey, Iran, and Russia.
Uh-huh.
Because
I don't think they're going to succeed.
Yeah, because you see, if Turkey invades northern Syria, right?
Yeah.
And Assad wants to respond because Turkey was absolutely horrific in allowing ISIS to train on their territory and from their territory to invade Syria. So I don't know what Erdogan's ambition was. Maybe he wants to reestablish the Ottoman Empire, and he wants to carve out Syrian territory for himself. But
I agree with the latter part. I agree that he wants a certain hegemonic domination over that part of Syria. But in terms of reestablishing the Ottoman Empire, that is simply not practical at this time.
Right. In other words, a mini reestablishment of the with like slices of Syria, not the entire empire, because that would be impossible.
Correct.
Now the other aspect, which I don't recall you mentioning, recently there was a MAX 2019 exhibit in Moscow where the Russians showed their latest aerospace technology.
Yes.
Fighters from, for example, the new Sukhoi Su-57, the Su-35, the Su-30 SM, also the new MiG-35 and the Yak-130 trainer. Now, all of these aircraft are at the cutting edge.
Yes.
And they vastly outperform, especially American aircraft, which apart from the F-16 and the F-15, which by the way were designed in the 1960s, right?
Yes.
These planes are obsolete, and as we speak, they are rotting on their runways, and there's crashes, every week.
Yes.
You hear of an F-15 or an F-16 crash.
Yes.
And of course, the F-35 is a dud. My friend Pierre Spray. Yeah,
it's a boondoggle with a capital boon.
Yeah, my friend Pierre Spray, who I know when he was working in Grumman. We come from Grumman Aerospace. And, he has, expressed his opinion on many, venues and shows on TV and radio that this was a $65 billion boondoggle. It cannot fulfill its mission. It cannot maneuver. Even a MiG-21, which is a 1950s vintage Soviet, aircraft, cannot maneuver an F-35.
Yes. Well, the F-35, let's be honest here, the F-35 was never really designed to be a dogfighter. It was designed basically to be a stealthy weapons delivery platform, but its sensor suites don't work, and now the Germans have figured out how to track the thing. So, yeah, it is. It's already obsolete. It's not even in service yet, and it's already obsolete.
Yeah, and even the F-22, there's problems with the F-22.
Yes.
Now, let me give you I think in 2011, right, there was an air meet at Edwards Air Force Base. They invited the Indian Air Force, right, with their Su-30 MKI. Now, this aircraft was designed in the early 1990s when Sukhoi, on their own, right, they didn't get any funding because, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Russia was in economic shambles, right? So Sukhoi on their own, they used their own funds, and they actually borrowed to develop a follow-on version to the Su-27. It was the Su-30 MKI with thrust vectoring, right?
Yes, I remember seeing that demonstrated.
Yeah, and there was an air meet, right, where they had the Su-30 MKI, right, that was basically designed in the early 90s.
Yes. And
they were taking on in simulated dogfights the F-18, F-15, F-16, right?
Yep.
And the Su-30 MKI, and this was in 2011 at Edwards Air Force Base. And they were 22 simulated dogfights, right, between the Su-30 MKI and the F-16, F-18, and F-15. And the Su-30 MKI with Indian pilots, they achieved a 21-to-1 kill ratio.
Oh boy, that's impressive.
Okay? Now
that is very impressive.
The only loss, was basically the Indian pilot made a mistake. He made a mistake, which he shouldn't have made,
Yeah.
And an F-16 was able to get him. Okay.
Yep.
Now, after this was over, the Indian delegation, they wanted a chance to go up against the F-22. Right? They were begging the Americans, well, let us dogfight against the F-22. And the American delegation said no, because they knew what would happen.
Yeah. All right,
Now,
listen,
right,
James,
since the SU-30 and
James, got to put you on hold. Got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back.
Terrific.
Hey, this check is wrong. I worked a holiday and 7 hours of overtime. Not getting paid correctly is a real pain. It could also hurt our boss if our company provides out-of-compliance checks. That's right, construction companies doing business with the government can get fined, or officials of the companies can go to jail if the checks aren't right. It's a law. The Davis-Bacon Act has 30 compliance issues for every check, but there is an easy way for construction companies to be in compliance. EMARS offers Compliant Client, a web-based system that finds and corrects all 30 of the possible out-of-compliance check issues. Users of Compliant Client report an 80% savings in time and money. Running a weekly payroll usually takes about 5 minutes. All 15,000 plus clients of EMARS have never had a legal compliance issue. Plus, they sleep better on check day. Contact EMARS at emarsinc.com or call 480-595-0466.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Don't regret growing old. It's a privilege denied to many. Heart disease is taking our youth from us. Young people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond are dying needlessly. One of the hardest messages I've ever had to deliver is to convince people that something natural like Extendivite should be taken as a preventative measure. I'm sure you heard an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Extendivite is that ounce. Take Extendivite for 1 year and see what your doctor has to say and how much better you feel. Herbs take time to address the problem. It took years of life to have a problem. Give Extendivite 1 year to fix the problem. Don't wait until it's too late. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or visit us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. And we're talking with James in Long Island. We're going down the fact that the Russians, and for that matter, the Chinese, are building some amazing weapon systems. Now, that's not saying that, I'm ready for us to go to war with anybody. But if you are an aviation enthusiast, it's amazing to see this stuff work. And there's a lot of YouTube videos out there showing the latest and greatest of what they're doing. I saw one the other day of these two Russian aircraft thrust vector, literally like doing this dance number down the runway, and pivoting around each other. And it was just amazing.
Yeah.
All righty.
And,
okay.
Yeah. Now since the Su-30 MKI, which was designed and built for the Indian Air Force, the Russians have developed, or the Sukhoi Bureau has developed the Su-35, which is a tremendous advance over the Su-30 MKI. And this is widely considered to be right now the best aircraft in the sky. And this is another reason they were very upset when Turkey bought the S-400 air defense system, which, by the way, there is no match. The Patriot missile is 2 generations behind.
Yes.
The Patriot missile isn't even as good as the S-300, let alone the S-400. And now the Russians have actually deployed in the testing phase the S-500 in Syria.
Yes.
So they were extremely upset when Turkey bought the S-400 because they know that they have nothing even come close. So they want to wreck the emerging relationship between Russia and Turkey because they don't want any NATO country or any other country to get any ideas about buying, Russian military hardware. This is what they're terrified of.
I think their concern is both the F-22 and the F-35, their reputations are based on their stealth capability. And if it comes on out that in point of fact, these air defense missiles are able to, target and lock on, and we know that that's already been done once with the F-22. We know that Germany did it with the F-35. I mean, the whole program is dead. Nobody's going to spend that kind of money for an aircraft that can't dogfight and can't stay stealthy. And again, whatever was used against that Iranian refinery, it blew right past all those American supplied defenses. So Trump sent more of the same thing that kind of failed. But meanwhile, Russia, they already have missiles that can get past any American air defense. They've already gone past that point. They're building new, heavily armored nuclear submarines. We can't get into a war with these people. We shouldn't get into a war with these people because we're going to lose.
Also, the latest Russian aircraft, the MiG-35, Su-30 SM, and the Su-35, and the Su-57, they all have L-band radar in their wing roots, right? Which is low frequency. Yes. They can detect stealth targets.
All right. Well, listen, James.
Well, anyway, Mike, listen, it's been great. I wish you a tremendous show, and all the best to you and Claire. You're doing a great
thanks
job.
an awful lot. We'll be right back after station identification.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. Hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And apparently, Mike in the control room got a phone call from somebody who's watching our video feed on YouTube and says he is being blocked from using the thumbs up button, which doesn't really surprise me these days for reasons I mentioned before. They're trying to just bring down this complete tyrannical control over what you see. And we've caught them cheating our viewership numbers on things like Claire's music videos and stuff before. It's not an honest platform. We live in a country in which the cheaters do prosper. All right, we're going to take another phone call. Jim in New York, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Yes, the ABC News, they admits they used fake footage of the Kurdish slaughter. Did you read that article?
Yeah, they took footage from a gun range. They just took a video of all these people firing these rifles off into the distance, and you say, "Oh, look at the horror, the horror." I mean, corporate media just they lie so much. If they ever caught themselves accidentally telling the truth, they'd lie real quick just to stay in practice.
Yeah, you know, anything on TV cannot be believed. Period. And I noticed.
Jim, are you there?
I lost him.
No, we kind of lost him here. Okay, well, while we wait for Jim to dial back in here, and I don't know why we're having these issues, Piers Morgan came out with an interesting little article, and it actually addresses some of the issues being raised by our earlier callers. So congratulations, Mr. President. The real winners from your dumb and dangerous betrayal of the Kurds are Iran, Russia, and ISIS. And as a matter of fact, as I mentioned before, ISIS is in fact appearing to use this opportunity to reform and rebuild. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton is out there tweeting, "The sickening horror in Syria is one man's fault." At which point, I'll get right to you, Jim. Just give me a second with this thing. And of course, she got called on that because of all the damage to the Middle East that she and Obama did, like Libya, Benghazi. Not like her hands are clean. By the way, Hillary Clinton is blasting Facebook for not censoring enough voices. You're letting too many people enjoy freedom of speech. That's not what the United States is about anymore. All right, so let's go back to Jim in New York. Aloha, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes, sorry. One of us had a bad connection. But, you know, I think Fox News is more damaging to CNN because I know too many conservatives who still watch and believe Fox. Yeah. Fox was created to draw middle America in.
Yes.
They're more fair on issues like abortion or gun rights. They're more fair and balanced. But their end game is the war agenda. And are they pro-war, the neocon war network.
Yeah.
I remind my conservative friends that, you know, Fox was saying Saddam had WMDs.
Yep.
Assad gassed his own people. So to me, Fox is more dangerous than CNN because at least a lot of Americans, particularly middle Americans, they go, well, CNN and NBC, they're liberal. But a lot of people still believe Fox. Fox has to be discredited.
Well, they're discrediting themselves, first of all, since they changed ownership. They've obviously started drifting to the left themselves. This recent debacle over the impeachment poll where they oversampled Democrats and undersampled Republicans. That's got to be a wake-up call for a lot of people, that what you're getting from Fox News is no longer reliable. I used to like watching Fox News. I had it on my TV in my office, with the closed captioning turned on. And fortunately, that TV got destroyed in the move, so I got to replace that now. But I don't watch Fox News anymore. In fact, I don't watch any news shows anymore. I'm like a Travel Channel. I'm a huge Josh Gates fan. And, the other educational channels. But watching the news, when you realize that everywhere you go, whether it's an airport or a bank, you've got this view screen up there that is trying to force feed you the government story. It's right out of George Orwell's 1984.
Yes. Fox and Mark, God forbid, and all, my conservative acquaintances who still believe Fox, after the next false flag, Fox, just like the other networks, will be saying it happened just as it did, just like 9/11. I mean, anybody, a big litmus test I have with people is, do you believe the government story on 9/11? And if they do, I just discredit everything they say. And all these conservatives like Tucker, Ann Coulter, Hannity, they may say good things on some issues.
Yes.
But the bottom line is they can't be believed, because they still believe the fairy tale of 9/11. They still believe what I called the root lie. So why even bother? Why would I even give them a minute of my
complete
time?
Waste of time.
Yes, that's the bottom line. Anyone on TV, they're compromised, and they can only go so far. Even that guy, the guy on CNN, Van Jones.
Yep.
He's on CNN. He said before he was hired, 9/11, he questioned 9/11.
Yes.
But once he's on TV, he can't talk about that topic, or he'll be off the air in 5 seconds.
Oh, absolutely. The part that really annoys me is that during the 2016 campaign, Donald Trump himself expressed doubts about the official story of 9/11. Now that he's the president, he is, towing the line on the official story.
Yeah. Anybody who still believes that, and that goes for Tucker Carlson. Sure, he may make some good points, but he can't be believed because he's on television. If you're on TV, you can't say what the truth is.
Nope.
But
and now they're trying to filter the truth out of our personal email communications, as we mentioned with this other phone call here. They're trying to make sure that certain political videos, do not make the viewership lists. I mean, it's an iron fist being brought down on our right to share our thoughts with each other freely.
Yes. But ABC News, they just admitted it's already forgotten. No one's holding them to account.
Nope.
No one's, their FCC license isn't being brought up to question. It's just, another lie. It's just forgotten.
That's the job.
Yeah. But that's my line of people is anything on TV cannot be believed. On that note, have a great show, Mike, and thanks for taking my call.
All right, you got it. And we're going to switch over to Tom in Florida. Aloha, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Good day to you, Michael. And your last caller to Jim, Fox News ain't what it used to be, but at least they got rid of Shepard Smith. Thank God he left.
Yes.
Made him a little bit better. But getting back to what I wanted to talk to you about, Michael, a few things. But did you see the report on Chicago over the weekend again?
About all the shootings?
Yes. Well,
yes.
There's 21 shootings. and I'm going to give you a statistic. I don't know if this is included. That one guy went in and killed the whole family. Did you hear about that?
Yes, I did.
Did you hear about that, Michael? The one guy went and shot his whole family up. Five, they were at the dinner table and he shot him. I don't know if that's included in the shootings or not in Chicago.
Well, I got to tell you that
he went with a handgun. He shot the whole family up.
You know, I look at things like that. I look at things like that, and I say, "There's something going on here medically." And you know, I was looking at the medication that I am currently on right now, and it can cause depression. It can actually cause a psychotic break. And I'm saying, you know, we're pouring this stuff into the American patient, and I don't think it's just a coincidence that our tendency toward violence with each other is escalating at the same time we're becoming saturated with all these medicines.
Yes, Michael. But, you know, Chicago has the strictest gun laws in the country, probably.
Yes.
And look what's going on every weekend. We never. I mean, to me, you know, to your last caller, Jim. Let me tell Jim something. There's only one network I do watch. It's called the Ledger Report. It's called OAN News. And every hour on the hour, they even talk about they're always talking every week about the shootings in Chicago, and they talk every hour on the hour, 24 hours a day about how much immigration is costing the American taxpayer. That's the only network that actually. Can you imagine if ABC, NBC, or CBS would be like that network? Donald Trump will win the election in a massive landslide. He'd carry all 50 states. But of course, the liberal-controlled Zog media will not allow that because, like you say, it would take $60, $70 billion to buy one of those major networks. Unless Trump can get like 20, 30 billionaires to buy up a network like that, that's how much it would cost. But getting back to what the other caller called about Russia's weaponry.
Hold it. I'm not sure those networks are worth that kind of money anymore because the value of the network isn't just the hardware. It has to do with its potential earnings and potential ad revenues. And right now, those are way down. And I think
Michael, that's true.
I think there would be a great idea for somebody to buy up one of these leftist networks and take it right. Bring back balance to the media landscape.
Absolutely.
Because right now it's totally unbalanced. It's all hardcore left-wing, libertarian, utopian, nonsense. And there are no solid conservative voices out there outside of independent radio.
Well, Michael, George Soros is the one that's running a lot of those networks. But, you know, they had a big election in Poland. I don't know if you got a chance to see that. The Polish government actually went more to the right now than they were.
Yes.
They had that election. And also the governor of Louisiana, this guy, John Bell, Dingle Bell Edwards, he's going to have a tough time winning re-election in Louisiana. I'm going to tell you that right now. You'll see that coming soon.
Yeah.
But, you know, to your last call, the call before talking about weaponry.
Yes.
Did you see the latest weapon that the United States does have, Michael? Probably the most devastating weapon is out. It's called a railgun on the tanks. Abrams.
I got to tell you, I'm not impressed so far. And I understand the theory behind the railguns, but when you look at basically the catapults on the Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier, they're basically railgun based. And they've been causing a lot of damage to the aircraft. And I think the electrical systems on the Abrams tank, they're not going to be able to carry enough fuel to be able to give it the kind of firepower, range, and repeatability that you get with the current chemical-based propellants. So I think it's another one of these. It's another one of these boondoggle projects. Somebody got together and said, "We're going to have a railgun, and we're going to spend all this money on the railgun, and we're going to have something that Russia doesn't have."
Well, you know, Michael, talking about, you know, when you talk about war, the weapons are already there. I mean, the weapons have been there for 30, 40 years. There's a thing called the neutron bomb. So if you're ever going to talk about a war and you got to have who's got the better planes, look, United States, Russia, maybe China, we got neutron bombs, okay? That's the end of war. The war is, nobody wins a war with a neutron bomb, okay? Except either Russia or maybe Russia will have a chance, but the United States is going to take out everybody with a neutron bomb. Trust me on that.
Well,
now, getting back to
now, hang on a second. Let's finish the thought here. The neutron bomb is a weapon of invasion and conquest. Okay, it is specifically designed to kill living matter without destroying the buildings around there. So it is a weapon specifically designed to invade somebody else's country, kill a bunch of people, but leave all the buildings and infrastructure intact for the use of the supposed victorious side. They're not necessarily all that powerful compared to other nuclear weapons, certainly some of the ones that the Russians have built, but that's the reality of the neutron bomb. It is designed to invade and conquer other people's land, kill the people, leave the buildings.
That's correct, Michael. That is absolutely correct, sir. But Michael, I was watching Ancient Aliens, and I think I called you last month, and I told you about this. I'm still perplexed, and maybe you can answer this for like 2 minutes when I hang up on air. These pilots are tracking these unidentified flying objects, okay? And they had these guys go in and talk to these pilots in the radar controller, and he's asking them how fast these things are going. The one guy, the radar controller, said these things are probably going at 100,000 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's unfathomable. Nobody can understand that. But they asked the pilot, "What do you think these things are?" You know what he said, Michael? I think I told you this. You know what he said, and you need to talk about this for like 2 minutes. This guy said, "I think they're Foo Fighters."
Yeah.
And now a Foo Fighter was something out of Germany, correct? Back 70 years ago, correct?
Well, it was basically a generic name for any unknown fighter, and they applied it not only to German aircraft, but to the Japanese as well.
Okay, so I see. Okay, the Japanese aircraft, that's correct. But the way this guy was describing it, it was like he don't know if this thing was from the future or from the past, the pilot, because I asked him, and he's like, he really didn't understand what he was looking at. When this was by the coast of Virginia, on the east coast of the United States, where he's tracking this. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I heard this thing about Antarctica years ago. As a matter of fact, there's a book out about it. I never really researched too much because it's kind of weird. But I'm like saying maybe I remember reading in a book something about the United States went down there to attack the base in Antarctica or something, and they had Foo Fighters come out. It was the weirdest thing. I mean,
well, let's play with the numbers. Let's look at the numbers. If in fact these objects were really traveling at 100,000 miles an hour, the pilots would have never gotten a good look at them. They would have shot by that fast. So I find the story to be very suspicious, primarily because we're seeing this concerted effort to get everybody interested in UFOs and flying saucers. There was that whole thing about storming Area 51. And we know from history that every time the United States is getting ready to test something exotic up there on the black budget, that the first thing that they do is they rattle up UFOs. They want you thinking alien spacecraft, so you're not really paying attention to what it is you're seeing that they're working on. And, the idea is that you come running on in and you say, "I saw an alien spaceship," and it just took off over there. And any foreign spies who are there are just going to say, "That's another American nutcase." But if you go back and you look at the history of various TV series about UFOs, like alien UFOs, whatever TV shows, even the X-Files, you find they overlap the development cycle of some of our most exotic aircraft.
Well, Michael, I'm going to agree with you on that because I think a lot of this is poppycock as far as what's going on with aliens. But speaking of aliens, Michael, do you know in New York, if you say illegal alien, they can fine you $250,000?
I mean, that's utterly ridiculous. Anyway, listen, Tom, need to let you go. Need to take another break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
How healthy are your arteries? Deteriorating circulation has a number of early warning signs. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, fingers and or toes often go cold, arms and or legs often go to sleep, sharp diagonal crease in the earlobe, short walks cause cramping or pains in legs, memory is not as good as it used to be, ankles swell late in the day, chest pain after physical exercise or emotional stress. If you experience even one of these symptoms, your circulatory system is crying out for attention. Extendivite is a natural solution to help improve your overall health. Extendivite is not your average heart tonic. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, distract yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here and getting on back to the war zones. As you're probably aware, an Iranian-owned oil tanker was hit by what were described as 2 projectiles fired from the eastern side of the Red Sea. And Iran has now released photos of the damage for the first time. And they're basically saying that these were missiles rather than artillery. And of course, it's increasing tensions. Everybody's shooting at everybody's capital assets here. So I would suspect that this is actually being done by the United States, which doesn't want peace to break out. Because it's that constant state of war, that constant state of weapons sales, that allows the United States to exert influence over those countries. Alrighty, so over in Yemen, those poor people, they have suffered so much. Again, another U.S. proxy war here. Yemen has completely run out of fuel. So just imagine for a moment how your life would change if the gas stations were all of a sudden empty one day. Drive to work, you couldn't cook food, wouldn't have hot water to clean or bathe with. And also in Yemen, it means that hospitals have to close. They don't have the fuel. So that's how bad things are getting there. All right, we're in the 48th week of the Yellow Vest protests. And down in Toulouse, the police were using tear gas once again and water cannon. Basically, this protest movement is coming up on its first birthday. 3 more weeks. It'll be a year old. Anyway, last Friday was the 78th Friday of the Great March of Return over at the border between Israel and Gaza. 71 civilians injured, including 23 children. We just seem to live in a world right now where governments have just decided, yeah, it's okay to be violent with our people. You know, if they're not going to do what we want them to do, if they're not going to be of use to us, let's just go ahead and kill them. Apparently, there are major protests out in Ecuador being led by the indigenous people down there. They're decrying this deal being made with the IMF. They're demanding Moreno's resignation. I remember a while back when we were talking about the emerging globalism, and I said, you know, this push for a global government could literally create the political climate for a global revolt. And it almost seems like it's happening, whether it's Ecuador or Hong Kong or London or Paris. So I don't know, it just feels dangerous here. All righty, apparently Xi Jinping held talks over the weekend with Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli, as both countries aim to strengthen bilateral ties by signing several economic agreements, including new BRI projects such as the new Trans-Himalaya Railway. Boy, that's going to be a heck of a ride. And basically, Xi Jinping came out with a statement saying that any external forces attempting to divide China will be deemed by the Chinese people as pipe dreaming, said that it will end in crushed bodies and shattered bones. Now, I wonder who he meant that warning to be for. Those are very, very tough words here. Communist China has just doubled its number of military troops. They already have the most people in uniform of any nation here on Earth. And there was this article that was written in Investment Watch blog looking at this doubling of the military troops and saying, is an invasion of America the next chapter in global domination? And I'm going to say no, and for a very good reason. China has all these people in uniform. They've got guns. They look really good. What China does not have is the capability of moving a military force of that size across the Pacific Ocean. That's the part that's missing. All right, we're going to take a phone call. Don in Arizona. Aloha, Don. Actually, Don, I'm going to put you back on hold here because we're coming up on another commercial break. But we'll come right back to you after the words from our sponsors. Meanwhile, looking at our domestic politics here, apparently Rudy Giuliani is now under investigation by feds in Manhattan for his dealings in Ukraine. Okay, we're going to take a break for commercials. We've got a caller waiting on the line, and we will be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. By Christine, great for heart palpitations. By Ann, before I started using this product, every afternoon my ankles and my hands would be swollen. That doesn't happen anymore. So if that part of their advertising is true, I have to assume that the rest of it is also. Not to mention that when I had my yearly blood test, only a few weeks after beginning to use this product, my cholesterol had dropped over 30 points. I'm going to continue to take it. By Croc, I love this product. It really works. By Brad, works great, thank you. Tell us your story. Get your Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And we're going to go right back to the phones here to Don in Arizona. Aloha, Don. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, Mike, yes, the American empire, thing is, there's been a lot of empires through history, and people don't understand that. Most of the Americans have no historical perspective. But the Dutch had an empire for a while. Nobody remembers that.
But you remember what Gandhi said about empires, right?
No.
For a time, they can seem invincible, but they always fall. Just think of it.
Yeah, they always fall. That's right.
And I think we're at the end of the American empire. It's tearing itself
sure
up.
There's no doubt about it. But the American people, most of them are, they just think, well, America's always been number one. We're big, we're huge. You know, and they don't study the weapon systems like you do. They think, most of them still think that, well, we got the best weapon. That's what Trump says all the time when he gives his speech. We got the best weapons. We got the best weapons. We don't. We don't have the best nothing anymore, really. The only thing we have is we have a big old beautiful country with a lot of mountains and stuff like that, some natural resources. But every empire, the same thing happens. I was reading something about, it was a book And this guy, it's a kind of an historical novel type of thing. And this guy, the author, was talking about the Dutch Empire. They were, towards the end of the empire, they were fighting people all over the globe too, just like we are.
Yes.
We're fighting, and it makes no sense. Well, it would be a lot better to just face reality. It's like everybody's going insane, and we don't need to take a huge ass kicking. We could just kind of pull in our horns and say, okay, we're just going to be one of the guys now, and everybody.
Well, I think
but
that's
nobody
what,
wants peace.
I think that's what Trump was trying to do with Afghanistan, and I think
Right.
Bolton, basically screwed that up, which is why Bolton got fired. But right now, even the Pentagon is saying that we are militarily overstretched around the globe. Even with all the money that's being spent, all the people we have in uniform, all the military bases, it is simply too much. And that we've got to start pulling back.
Trump wanted to, remember, this isn't the first time he wanted to pull out of Syria. About 4 or 5 months ago, he said, remember that? He said, we're pulling out. And it just didn't happen because the Pentagon's got a mind of its own, and, he doesn't have enough cojones just to march right in there and start knocking their heads together or something. But anyway, the empire is coming to an end. I just hope we don't get blown up. For the only way, we might as well face reality is what I'm saying. Okay, I'll let you go, Mike. Thanks.
All right, thanks an awful lot. It is a reality. They're back to a permanent state of quantitative easing to try and keep the banks looking solvent, even though technically they're already insolvent. And so we're getting into Weimar-style hyperinflation, and we know how that all ended up. You don't need me to tell you how bad things are in this country. You can just see it for yourself here. Anyway, let's go back to the phones here. Mark in North Carolina. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. I heard you talking before. I think it was Tom. And he mentioned, well, I don't think he called it an Operation High Jump, but that's what it was. Admiral Dewey, I believe his name was, he sent a big fleet over to the Arctic. Supposedly,
yes.
He was hunting. They didn't really tell you those. He was hunting for remnants of the Third Reich that was hiding out there in the Arctic. That was, and they had very advanced weapons, including flying saucers. He didn't know that. Supposedly, these saucers, defeated the fleet. Now he didn't know whether they were actually aliens or they were Germans, Nazi Germany or not. Now I don't know how much of this I believe. It could be BS. It could not be. But there are some,
I'm leaning toward the BS side.
It could be. But there seem to have been some, we're talking about evidently an admiral. It was pretty well known. So I don't know. But there's another story about with possible aliens that I don't know if you ever heard of this guy, Captain Salas, Robert Salas. Former Air Force captain at a missile base in I think it was North Dakota.
Yeah,
he was commander of that base, and supposedly back in the 1960s, there were unidentified craft came down and crippled the entire facility. All the missiles, everything was offline. They couldn't do anything with them. They couldn't send them. They couldn't do anything. Totally took it away, and then they disappeared, and that was it, and everything went back to normal. To be honest with you, Mike, today, the way things are today, I'm hoping this is true, because maybe these people are not really, they may not have, they may really have our best interests, and supposedly, and God forbid, if it hits the fan and the U.S. and Russia go at it, maybe that's our last hope, that these aliens will stop it.
Okay, well, this being Columbus Day, this being Columbus Day, look at how Columbus treated the occupants of the lands he discovered. And look at any explorer or conqueror and how they treated the people that they conquered. One rare exception, of course, being Alexander the Great, who went out of his way to be very kind to the people whose lands he'd conquered, to the point where they all thought he was a god. Okay, but I think by and large, first of all, I'm convinced the universe is filled with intelligent life. There's civilizations out there. I just can't think of a convincing reason they would even bother with our planet. And that's kind of one of the areas where I disagreed with Stephen Hawking.
Well, maybe you're invested with our planet. I mean, I don't necessarily buy this, but maybe we are hybrids. Maybe they were here before. You know, like they say it's all over the History Channel all the time. Maybe we really are hybrids. Maybe they came down here before. Maybe they, the Anunnaki, I think they're called, who were supposedly, angels. But maybe they weren't angels. Maybe it's like a lot of people say, they were an alien race, and they hybrid themselves to human beings. And I don't know. I don't say I believe this, Mike. I'm really not sure, but I don't disbelieve it either, because there's a lot of there's a lot to show that some of this stuff might be true.
But again, if you've got, the government is trying to basically obfuscate black aircraft project development, look how much money they've spent in the past. Creating TV shows and movies to convince people, that there are alien spaceships out there. Roswell, New Mexico. I mean, that was kind of an idiotic thing to do, to have that balloon crash there and claim it was a captured alien spaceship. You had TV shows like V and The Invaders. And again, they line up with black project development like the SR-71 or the F-117. And we know how much money the government is willing to spend to maintain their lies.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like I said, I have mixed feelings about it. I have mixed feelings about Roswell too. I went down. When I used to live in Amarillo, Texas, wasn't that far from Roswell, New Mexico, and I used to go there quite a bit to the museum.
Yes.
And look around, and a lot of people in the town still believe this thing really happened, that there were alien bodies and everything else that they saw.
But look how much money, look how much their economy makes off of this. I mean, it's a tourism mecca. Without the crashed spaceship and the alien bodies, there's really not much that Roswell has to offer. I mean, there's some farming country around there, but I mean, they make a lot of money on this thing. And you'll probably see many examples throughout history where something has happened and it lights up the economy of a community. And so everybody in the community says, oh yes, this is all true. And because, they're all trying to capitalize on what happened.
Yeah, that's also true. But I mean, it's not that Roswell really became very big because of the museum there. I mean, it's still a fairly small city. It's a beautiful area too. I really like the area. It's kind of desert-like, but it's very near the high mountains. It's right very near the Rockies. I don't think they call it the Rockies here. It's the southern part of the Rockies. And people are very nice there. And I don't know. I mean, if you look at Jesse Marcel, the intelligence commander there at that base, at the I think it was the 309th or something, which was actually the most highly, highest high security base in the country at the time, because that's where the atomic bombs.
That's where they had the nukes.
Took off Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yeah.
Okay, so Mark,
I don't know.
We're going to agree to disagree on this. I'm convinced there's intelligent civilizations that are out there. I have seen no credible evidence that they've ever come here. And it would be a huge waste of energy. Besides, if they're looking at us from outer space, what are they going to think the human race is about? Tribal warfare. That's all we do, is we kill each other. And who needs to come down and get just caught up in that kind of stuff? So, Mark, thanks an awful lot for the phone call. I'm going to get back to the real news. Because I get too many emails saying that I let callers drag me off topic. All right, so we're talking about domestic politics here. And apparently over at the House committees, this whole thing about the impeachment interviews, it started out with they were going to have this one supposed whistleblower testify over a distorted video feed and change his voice. The current push now is that he's just going to submit a written statement, which there will be no questioning. There'll be no response here. Now, Collins is out there saying that Schiff wants the interviews kept secret because Dems can't win this impeachment case in the public eye. And he's absolutely right. We're sick and tired of this mess. We're sick and tired of the whining. We're sick and tired of all these children, which is how they're behaving, and the damage they're causing our country, our world image. Now, Tulsi Gabbard is out there saying that once again, as we saw in 2016, the DNC and the corporate media are rigging the election. Yes, she's absolutely right. Now, here's an article saying Liz Warren will be a terrible nominee and she'll probably be the nominee. No, she won't. She can't get past Pocahontas. This one about losing the job for being pregnant, that's already been discredited. The fact of the matter is they're going to set Liz Warren up to take a fall and make way for Hillary. Okay. All righty. So there we are. But at this point, it's pretty obvious that Hillary Clinton is going to be the Democratic nominee, and she's going to lie, cheat, and steal her way into the White House. And Trump apparently seems totally unconcerned with this. He's done nothing about the crooked election system. He's done really very poor work in terms of securing our border and getting the illegal immigrants off the voting rolls. I think he enjoys running for the office, certainly enjoys the golf games. I don't think he's serious about the job anymore. I think he actually wants out of his second term. Or maybe there was a deal made. Where Donald Trump, hang on just a second. Something's knocking on the wall. Or maybe Hillary and Donald Trump just said, you know, I'm going to take the first term in the office and then it's your turn. Because we know that there was a deal made between Hillary and Obama. Remember, they met in that private home, and Hillary kind of backed on down. Obama won and made her Secretary of State to give her the foreign policy credentials she was going to need to try and run against Trump. But there's something very weird going on. And I think that Hillary's definitely going to be the Democratic nominee. It makes me sick to say it, sick to consider it. But I think she's going to be the nominee, and I think that they're going to engineer her getting the White House. And then the Democrats will absolutely flood this country with illegal immigrant voters, consolidate their power. That's what's going to happen. All righty, getting on back here. Apparently, according to 12160.info, apparently Bill Gates of Microsoft fame was much closer to Jeffrey Epstein than he initially let on. That's the reason Windows 10 is in such terrible shape. We've all heard of Snopes. They presented themselves as a fact-checking website, but they've now come on out and said, no, what we're really focusing on now is feelings and emotion and censoring things that make people feel bad, and we're going to do this to counter Donald Trump. So just like he did with CNN, Trump has just forced the phony left-wing fact-check site Snopes to throw out every standard of professional journalism. Not that they ever had any with all the problems that were going on over there. All righty. Over at Project Veritas, they have hit another success. They have an insider inside CNN who's been making video recordings that reportedly clearly demonstrate CNN's lack of objectivity, their political bias, and good for Project Veritas. They're getting it out there. All right, we're going to take a break here for commercials, and we'll be back with news about the economy after these few words.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
It happens more often than we can imagine. In my case, I was sitting at home, and out of nowhere, I just started feeling uncomfortable. Then it got worse, and I started perspiring. I tried to ignore it, but I waited too long. The chest pain came as we were driving to the hospital emergency. I felt my life clock begin to tick. I barely survived. There was lots of damage done to my heart. What do I do now? I was lucky. I took a leap of faith and tried a 7-herb formula with hawthorn, garlic, cayenne, and more called Extendivite. Herbs have been used for thousands of years to keep us healthy. If you're not using Extendivite as a preventative supplement, maybe it's time to start. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And we're going to talk about the economic news here for a little bit because, again, the indicators are out there. It's all coming apart. So apparently, an article published by the De Nederlandsche Bank, or the Dutch Central Bank, is basically saying if the entire system collapses, so they're already thinking about it. They're thinking about how this too much debt to ever pay back is going to bring the whole system crashing down. And it says gold will be needed to start over. Well, gold would be nice, no question about that. Question is there really enough gold for everybody to have the necessary funds to work, to buy homes and so forth? I think any solid commodity can work. What you cannot have are these bankers who are simply allowed to create money out of thin air and then loan it out at interest, because that's what destabilizes our economy. The death of the American empire began a little over 100 years ago with the creation of that Federal Reserve. And earlier presidents had been dead set against it, like Andrew Jackson, who shut down the second bank of the United States. They understood this wasn't about an economy. It was about the enslavement of a nation to the money junkies. Latest statistics are showing that hiring growth and job openings are falling. It's kind of weird because this would be the time of year you'd start to see stores hiring up for the Christmas holidays here. Facebook tried to introduce a digital currency called Libra, and apparently it's being denounced as a risk to the global financial system. Well, all cryptocurrencies are a threat to the global financial system because the bankers can't take control of it. But apparently Facebook had something like about 7 or 8 companies that were going to come on in to their cryptocurrency, and they're all ducking out. They're all backing out here. By the way, the Internal Revenue Service, this may even have something to do with it. The Internal Revenue Service is adding a question regarding Bitcoin crypto to this coming year's 1040 form, and it simply says at any time during 2019, did you receive, sell, send, exchange, or otherwise acquire any financial interest in any virtual currency? So now they're picking up on it. I'm going to try and figure out a way to try and tax that. We have been hearing a lot from Washington, D.C. about supposedly there being some kind of a deal with China. Well, there was some agricultural farming agreements made, but the trade war is still on. The Chinese are not saying there's a deal, either in English or in Chinese. It's just not there. Okay, we're going to take a break here for top of the hour station identification, and we will be right back. Join us on the air, 800-313-9443.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, the history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here, hour number 3. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And boy, you talk about misery around the world here. Out there in California, they're still dealing with the wildfires, the Santa Ana winds, and these deliberate power outages, which are reminding everybody of two factors: why electric cars are useless when the grid goes down, and the fact that the solar panels on your roof are useless when the grid goes down. Much interdependence there. Apparently, a gentleman who was on an oxygen machine in his home died when PG&E just arbitrarily shut off his neighborhood. So the governor is saying somebody's got to be held responsible, which is an easy thing for him to say here. And by the way, while everybody was distracted by the fires and the power outages, Governor Newsom signed 15 gun control laws, including red flag laws that are so onerous. Even the ACLU is out there saying this is a terrible threat to civil liberties. There was this story the other day, schoolgirl at school made a finger gun gesture like this and pointed it, and they arrested her, took her away in handcuffs. She's charged with a felony for a finger. Now, if you're my age, you probably remember that, growing up in school, you're playing cops and robbers and cowboys and Indians and, tenants shooting at each other. So this is really kind of over the top. And apparently, over at the Blacklisted News, they've got this article where it seems like we've set up this school to prison pipeline, and apparently 30,000 children under the age of 10 have been arrested and sent to prison since 2013. You've got children as young as 6. Talk about living in a police state. I remember when I was in school, the worst that could happen to you is you get sent to the principal's office for paddling. That was it. So now you get a permanent arrest record, your fingerprints stored in a database. We're a police state. We absolutely are. All righty, a little bit of news from the world of science. We were talking last week about how our solar system actually bobs up and down in the galactic plane, and that every 30,000 years or so, it sort of goes through this very dense level, and you see a lot more activity coming down from the sky. And they had another big one over the weekend. This one was in China. And apparently it was bright enough where it just literally turned night into day. Got it on all kinds of security cameras. It was bright enough to cast shadows. And they're saying there's one freeze frame of the video could easily be mistaken as being taken in broad daylight. Now, fragments from this meteor have not yet been found, but they assume that they probably will be. Okay, getting a little bit of news here about Dr. Gilbert Levin, who we've had on our show before here, and maybe in response to that ridiculous comment by the NASA administration that they may have an announcement about life on Mars. They're just not sure we're really grown up and adult enough to know about it. Well, we already went through that experience with the Antarctic meteorite. that had microbes in there. But apparently, Dr. Levin published an op-ed in Scientific American in which he says, yes, we found indigenous Martian alien life all the way back in the 1970s. Of course, he's talking about Viking. And I'm definitely on his side on this one, and not just because I worked on the mission. The data is compelling. And NASA's decision to not go with it was based not on science, but on politics. We're getting all these members of Congress, with heavy religious constituencies. My constituents out there are saying there can't be life on Mars because it's not in the Bible. And if it's not in the Bible, then it's just not going to happen. Well, there's a lot of things not in the Bible. I mean, they describe the planets as objects to be sacrificed to. And we all know there's a little bit more than that here. And, Gilbert Levins, he's absolutely right. They found positive evidence of indigenous microbial life on Mars. And we know that to be true because the evidence that NASA relied on to say, no, you didn't, came from an experiment which subsequently was found to be flawed. That's the GCMS, the gas chromatograph mass spectrometer, which was destroying organic molecules faster than they could be detected. And a lot of scientists around the world have looked at Dr. Levin's data, and they said, yeah, this is exactly the result we would see. So I would love to see Dr. Levin, be vindicated. It's long, long, long overdue. Speaking of events in science history, over the weekend, Alexei Leonov, who was the first human to walk in space, passed away. And it was an interesting story because of the design of his suit. First of all, the legs in the seat were all rigid. There were no hinges. The problem was because of the pressure inside the suit, it began to stretch while he was outside the spacecraft. And he just had a terrible time getting back in. He had to keep lowering the atmospheric pressure inside his suit so it would shrink back down and he could get back in, which took a lot of courage to do, and he did it. And apparently he spent his post-space years as an artist and just had all these paintings about being on the moon and everything. And I got a strong sense looking at some of his artwork that he was inspired by Chesley Bonestell, who, if you live in Los Angeles and you go to the Griffith Park Observatory, there's a lot of Chesley's artworks all over there. Alrighty, let's talk about some computer stuff here. Apparently, the Apple Safari browser is sending some user IP addresses to Chinese conglomerate Tencent by default. And there's all this talk here, this China bashing going on. About how the NBA bent the knee to China, and bad China is out there wanting certain things here. So Apple has appeased China by hiding the Taiwan flag emoji, ignoring U.S. lawmakers when choosing to ban a Hong Kong protest safety app. Now it's been discovered that Apple, which often positions itself as a champion of privacy and human rights, is sending some IP addresses from users of the Safari browser on iOS to Chinese conglomerate Tencent, a company with close ties to the Chinese Communist Party. Everybody's spying on everybody on all this stuff. Alrighty, here's a question. How bad is Catalina? And we're not talking about the island 27 miles across the sea. We're not talking about where Natalie Wood was killed. It's the latest version of the operating system for their high-end iPads. And the headline is kind of weird. It's almost Apple Maps bad. And they're certainly right on that one, because I made the mistake of putting in iOS 13.1.2, the golden cut, onto my iPhone. And around here, I need to use that mapping application and the GPS. I got Apple Play in the car to find our way around. Otherwise, I can get lost. So over the weekend, we had to visit a neighboring city, and I tap in the address where we're going. And this thing is just taking us through all these back roads. And I'm telling Claire, there's something wrong here. First of all, I don't like the new interface. I don't like the fact that it keeps moving around. I don't like the fact that whatever you're currently playing on your music system overlays the map, because I'm having enough trouble seeing the map as it is. But we noticed on our way back home, it put us on the proper turnpike and got us home in an amazing amount of speed. But it's terrible. And apparently over in Cupertino, they're saying they've got this low bar for code quality, and it's getting lower still. And it is. It's reached a point where, you know, how do you learn how to trust your machines? Your laptop, your iPhone, the iPad, they're unreliable. It's become very unreliable. Okay. Apple iTunes and iCloud for Windows have been hit with a 0-day exploit that apparently installs ransomware. And it's using this vulnerability affecting a little-known component that comes bundled with Apple's iTunes and iCloud software for Windows to evade antivirus detection. And apparently it is something related to the Bonjour updater. And again, there's so much of this computer crime out there, and the government just very obviously doesn't seem to see it as a problem. Now, given that Kaspersky Labs identified the Equation hacking group as actually part of the NSA, I have to wonder how much of this hijackware, ransomware, cybercrime, identity theft is really just another way for the government to loot the public, because they're desperate for money. $22 trillion in debt? Wouldn't be the first time a government predates on its own people, plunders its own people. And that seems to be what's going on here. And that's why we don't really see anything being done about this problem here. All righty. Apparently, security researcher malware hunter team discovered a scheme in which an attacker created a fake company that offered a free cryptocurrency trading platform called JMT Trader. I think I've heard about this one. When this program is installed, it will also infect your machine with a backdoor Trojan. You know something? I think it's time for a new operating system. And Linux obviously is coming on strong. People are getting sick of Apple products. They're getting sick of Windows. I know I certainly am. I honestly miss the days when computers were fun to work with. Now, I know that Apple is out there pushing Apple Pay. It's the new way to pay and scan with your phone here. Here's a really interesting story, actually kind of tragic. Daily Mail over in Great Britain. There was this woman who bought a £1, 50-cent bus fare with her iPhone, and then the iPhone battery died. And she couldn't prove to the ticket inspector that she had paid for the ticket. She got hit with a 476-pound fine and a criminal record. Another good reason to stick with cash. All righty. There's an activist group out there called Extinction Rebellion. And right now in Great Britain, they're causing a big ruckus over the issue of global warming, that the government isn't doing enough to save us all from this broiling world, which certainly isn't broiling around here, I have to tell you right now. But apparently, they're paying their protesters. This is not a grassroots movement. And protesters have received payments of more than £200,000 since the beginning of the movement. So it's all manufactured. Somebody, people need work, they need money. Yeah, here's some money, go on down to the corner, hold the sign and scream and yell a lot. Well, okay, fine, this is going to work. Now, Nevada becomes the first state to ban most pre-employment pot tests. So if you are a marijuana smoker, that's obviously going to be good news. It's kind of funny. I was at the local CVS a little while ago, and I noticed on one of their shelves in-home drug testing kits, and we're talking about illicit drugs. Like if you think your kid is on something they shouldn't be doing, you can drug test your own kid. I think that's a little intrusive. I'd find that a little scary. Seems to be where we're going. All right, we've got a caller on the line. Rick in Arizona, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
A couple of things, Mike. Didn't Clinton's impeachment kind of revolve around the word is, and then isn't Trump's impeachment revolving around the word though? Sounds a little bit like the Kabbalah is working in here. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, the meaning of is was just a dodge by Bill Clinton, to try and, get out of trouble, because he was actually impeached for lying under oath and obstructing justice. And so he tried to say, well, I wasn't really lying. It all depends on how you define the word is.
Yeah, I kind of looked at Clinton was telling the people in power that he knew what the Kabbalah was all about. Anyways, as far as computer security goes, as far back as 2000, like the first thing I do with a new computer is I remove the security. Norton antivirus, I rip it out, and I've never used it. And I still bank online. I've never had any trouble. My tax returns mailed to the wrong address in the former city, and
you're
I've never had any problem. And as far as this malware goes with these, I'm wondering how much. Like you said, this ransomware could be a hoax or a scam or a way for organized crime inside government agencies to steal money from the taxpayers. I just can't imagine how our government computer systems are getting hijacked by hackers and then holding them ransom until the city pays out money. You know what?
Yeah.
It's I don't buy it, Mike, because it's too hard. These systems are closed systems. Like your power grid system, like Xcel Energy, you can't break into Xcel Energy unless you extort the password from somebody that works there.
Yes.
You cannot hack it because it has brute force. It has brute force security. You try 3 or 4 times.
It's air gapped. It's air gapped. Isn't
I'm just saying, I think this ransomware is organized crime inside the government, and they're getting taxpayer money, or it might not even be happening. It's another hoax for people to sell computer security. I don't know, but it just seems a little
I'm
too
sure
easy for people to. I don't know.
I know people who've been hit by ransomware, including my younger brother. Okay, so anyway,
Okay.
Rick, Thanks an awful lot. We're going to take another break for commercials, and we have another caller on the line.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. It really does work like the review says it does. I cannot believe that after the first few days, I didn't feel as sluggish or clogged up. It has had a profound impact on my physical, emotional well-being. I'm skeptical as most people about products and their claims, and I never write reviews, but this is a wonderful product and I recommend it to everyone. Great product. It has brought my blood pressure from the mid-150s over the 80s to the mid-130s over mid-80s, along with diet and exercise in just the past couple of months. Excellent. Thank you, David. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Welcome to What Really Happened Radio. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. And now, set your eyes on the future and let's consider what really happened.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. We're going to go back to the phones here to Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha, Dustin. Welcome back to the show. What's on your mind?
I wanted to talk about Syria, but real quick, I want to talk about, I don't know if you talked about this yet, this place in the UK called the Tavistock Clinic, which is a clinic, that transitions children from a boy to a girl. But Mike, I'm thinking about them. Like, so the neoliberal ideal is like you either throw your kid in the garbage can, have him aborted, or if the family, the parents, don't like him as a boy, they bring him in and get some treatments on him to make him a girl. This has nothing to do with the child. It's the parents are sick. That's what I came down to. The parents are ill to where they don't like the puppy, they're going to exchange it for a cat. That's what I see that as. It's just a sickness, and I'm looking at this clinic, I'm like, a clinic to transition over. I mean, it's almost like a science fiction could be a science fiction movie, where you bring your baby in to get like the DNA adapted or something. It's a sickness. It's actually a selfishness. Like you don't like your TV. I'm bringing it back to get a different TV because it's not the same. It's not the TV I wanted. So
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. It's just it's definitely a sickness of the parents and the mentality of the morals, the moral fabric of like a society. Basically, the West. Because is there any clinics like that? Does anybody know over here, like in like California or Portland, Oregon, or you know what I mean? Do you know if there's any clinics in California like that?
I honestly don't know, but I would not be surprised because apparently there's money to be made doing this. I mean, you got Chelsea Clinton's out there saying that it's perfectly acceptable, possible rather, for women to have beards and a penis. And we know that a lot of this gender transitioning surgery on adults is being done in these clinics. The question is, at what point does sending a child through this process become child abuse?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, Chelsea needs a beard, okay?
Well, at least she got a decent nose job.
And all right, so Mike, I want to move to something like that's even more serious. It's this whole Russia, Turkey, Syria thing. And by the way, Syrian tanks have hoisted the Russian flag on a lot of the tanks, which is like could be two signs. Either we're with Russia or don't hit us because we might be like Russian tanks, And
could be. I mean, there was an incident earlier today where American forces were fired on by Turkey. Turkey's insisting it was an accident. But our kids got shot up by the Turkish forces.
We're not going to do anything against. See, we're in a tough spot now. By the way, Trump didn't move them out of Syria. He just moved them out of a part of Syria into another part of Syria. They haven't left.
And it's like a couple of hundred. It is always,
Well,
So
Mike,
I'm really.
curious. The area they moved them out of, is that like where the oil is? Because Syria could start to rebound if they're allowed to like get their own oil back and not be taken over. Because I know it's in that part of the country, right? Like
it's in the northeast.
But Mike, a lot of this has to do with also is, I believe, the Belt and the Road, and also the somebody called earlier on your show about this alliance, and the alliance. See, now the alliance is the more the U.S. Like I know Mike Pence just put on it. They said they put more punishing sanctions on. So they're pushing Turkey even further into the orbit of Iran and Russia because Turkey in that part of the world, they don't like that stuff. They look at that as a friend.
And Turkey is insisting they're going to buy that S-400 missile system.
But they just slapped the face of the Turkish people because that's the way they look at things over there, like that. As not slapping Erdogan, but as the Turkish people themselves. So I mean, but that's what I believe, though. It's part of the Belt and the Road. The United States is trying to create a wedge, and like one of your other listeners also mentioned, like Trump sent 3,000 troops to Saudi Arabia, so we're not getting out of the Middle East.
No, we aren't.
But Mike, there's something going on also because Putin just went to Saudi Arabia and he had a lot of business discussions. So there is something moving that we just don't know all the pieces because it's a geopolitical chessboard game, So is that kind of odd, though? Putin went to Saudi Arabia at this particular time in history. That's all I got to say, Mike. Have a good show.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We'll be back with another phone call after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Many people tell us about their experience with Extendivite. Just listen to what Glenn has to say.
Prior to taking it, I had diabetic neuropathy. The Extendivite reduced that significantly. Acid reflux was reduced. I had athlete's foot, very severe. Trimmed that down to about 75%. Dandruff, almost completely gone. I had occipital neuralgia at the base of my skull. I was having migraines, reduced by about 90%. Heart palpitations, my heart would kind of stall out. I would skip a beat. Very uncomfortable. And when walking from downstairs going to sleep, by the time I got to the bedroom, which is just one flight of stairs, my heart was pounding, coming out of my chest. My vision was blurry. This completely solved that problem. Great product. Thanks.
Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. We're going to go back to the phones to Laura in Michigan. Aloha, Laura. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. I just wanted to totally disagree with you when you said it's intrusive for parents to do the drug testing on their child. When did parents become afraid to parent their children? It's their responsibility to check and make sure that everything is the child is safe and is not on drugs, and could, if they find out that they are, they can help them. I don't think that's intrusive at all.
I understand that. It's just, to me, it is a symptom of a society where everybody is spying on everybody else. And I don't think that can be mentally healthy. And I'd be worried about what the reaction of the child would be when he finds out that he's being given a drug test by his parents. I mean, you know, it's one thing
I don't think that's
when...
spying.
Sorry?
I don't think that's spying on your child. That's being a good parent. You know, I just totally disagree. I had a case where a lady, a neighbor of mine, her son got into satanic stuff, He had brought home a satanic Bible and different things. I said, let's get all this stuff and burn it while he's gone out of the, he's out of the house. He said, oh, I'm afraid to do that. He might run away. I said, okay, well, if you're not going to do it, you're going to leave the satanic stuff here? Fine, he'll pay the consequences. And later on, the kid did run away and got in with some very bad people. I mean, I'm not saying that just us burning that stuff would have helped, but it would give him an idea that this is wrong. Kids are not autonomous
we've gone away.
We
have gone away
for a reason that we lead sick children.
Laura, we've crossed the line from you're being concerned about a child taking illegal drugs into a difference of opinion regarding religion. And I think that's a very dangerous line to cross because just because it's a satanic Bible, he's got every right to read it. And I'm sorry that to me, you're not showing that child the respect by saying, I trust you to know what's going to work best. And I think that's probably one of the reasons we're seeing so much bad behavior from children is they're going postal. I mean, they figured out all those years ago, these postal workers who were shooting up their coworkers, there was just too much pressure being put on them. They were being spied on way too much. Kids are nerve ends all over. They need, a certain degree of privacy and freedom. They need to, I think, know that their parents are trusting them. If they don't get that, they're going to go in a bad direction.
I'm just not going to agree, disagree or anything with you because I just think it's totally okay to do that. Make sure your kids I raised good kids, very good kids. They knew right from wrong, right from the beginning. They knew their dad and I wanted the best for them. And we'd do anything to assure that they would get the best. So, okay. Well, thank
All right.
you.
Well, you've got it. And we're going to switch over to Lenny in California. Aloha, Lenny. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, what's on my mind is Dustin called in a few minutes ago, and what he's speaking of is called the Tavistock Institute in Sussex, England. I have been studying these people for a long time, and they think they have the right to set the agenda for humanity. Okay, it works with the British MI4 in particularly, and they think they have the right to set the agenda for humanity. And if they think it involves a lot of psychic warfare, and with drugs included. And if they think they can program you to going back to where quote unquote mankind, according to Darwin, was on its all fours at one time, they'll do that, depending on how strong the mind and the soul of the human is. Okay, so this is a lot of these agendas that are being set, that humanity versus humanity are being set right there at the Tavistock Institute in Sussex, England. That's the first thing.
Okay.
Now,
my question is why? What is their agenda? Why are they doing this?
Because you got some people who think they're above humanity. They think they're special to the world. Okay?
Well,
I mean, you had one called Hitler. Yeah, exactly. And he's right out of that same cut, same mold. But going back to what you said about just a few minutes ago about Turkey attacking the U.S. troops, that was reported last Friday. Okay. On all the major news networks. It didn't hit any of the U.S. troops. Okay, but it came close. Now, what I found interesting is that, there's this big talk about ISIS being freed from the prisons over there. If the truth be told, the same United States, Great Britain, Israel, NATO, all of them that supported ISIS and sent them into Syria, as they sent them into Libya, as they sent them into other countries, okay, they were once called freedom fighters, if you remember, by all the major press.
Yes.
Now that they're getting their bus kicked, okay, now they're genociding the Kurds. Okay, but here's the thing: we can't have it both ways. Okay, either they're ISIS once and for all, but they can't be freedom fighters when it's to certain people's convenience. That's the problem I have
Well, it
with
all
it.
depends
Now,
on what direction they're pointed.
yeah, and at the time they're being pointed. But let me say this: Joe Biden made a statement today that Trump did not even bother to consult his generals before he decided to pull out of Syria. And quoting Joe Biden, who does that? Who conducts foreign policy like that? Well, Joe, let me answer that question for you. Obviously, someone who thinks that they can't afford to tell the generals, he can't trust the generals to tell them what his next move is going to be. And as I said to you last Friday, there were negotiations going on. All of a sudden, I don't know if you noticed this in the media, in the foreign media anyway, as the foreign press is fleeing Syria as we speak, because none of them had credentials to be there in the first place. They were there under the protection of the U.S.
Yes.
But now it's being reported that Syria and the Kurds have reached an agreement.
Yes.
For Syria, for the Kurds to be brought into an autonomy under Syria, which it should have been done in the first place. If Syria hadn't gotten greedy. But one more thing, let me say this other thing. Now, it was reported in the Israel nationalnews.com by a prominent member of the Knesset, Ayelet Sheikh. She said, and this was on October the 9th, 2019, she said, a Kurdish state is in Israel's interest.
Yes.
My question is, what about a Kurdish state being in the Kurds' interest? Why does everything have to be in Israel's interest?
Oh, you know, in American politics, everything is always what Israel wants. Israel's got a total lock on our government. They have for generations. And, you know, whatever Israel wants, Israel gets. I mean, it's kind of absurd out there, but that's exactly what happens here. And it may be that, you know, Israel is going to find some way to get these wars going again, because they don't want peace in the region any more than the military-industrial complex does.
Well, they can't afford it. So the question goes back to who really fired those two submarine missiles to hit that Iranian tanker? Who would find a prominent time, a perfect timing to try and create more stress between the nations over there? But, you know, as I said last week, everything is just falling apart everywhere, because if you look even at the Tunisian elections, which happened last night, the anti-establishment candidate won by 72.9% of the vote, and he's a big supporter of the Palestinian state.
Yes.
So you can look for more trouble to happen over there too. And so anyway, I just wanted to let Justin know, but people should definitely look into the Tavistock Institute. A lot of the evils that's been perpetrated on humanity comes from the very evil scientists that work within that institution. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
All right, you got it. Thank you very much for your phone call here. And getting on back to some other stuff that's coming on, people are already starting to talk about this coming expose by Project Veritas about CNN, and they're saying it's going to be a real barn burner on that one. Apparently on Friday, we're going to get the Inspector General's report. And apparently it will cover more than the FISA crimes. So now for those of you who are getting ready to do your Christmas shopping and everything, Amazon is now offering Prime customers free one-day shipping on items that cost as little as $1 in a bid to drive conventional retailers out of business. And unfortunately, because of where we're currently living, we have to take advantage of Amazon and eBay. This is a cute little place to live, but it's like, you know, 20 miles to the nearest Walmart. But apparently commercial drone delivery is starting to upset a lot of people, not because of the packages, but because of the noise. You know how noisy drones are. Okay. Let's see. Another article here about how ABC News aired gun range footage from 2016 and then lied to their viewers saying it was Turkish forces slaughtering innocent Kurdish women and children. So ABC is out there trying to demonize the Turks and build sympathy for the Kurds, which means, you know, we've got so many players in all of this. Alrighty, so back in 2004, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton proclaimed marriage is between a man and a woman. And boy, have they changed since then. Really is kind of, and I don't get the LGBTQ agenda. I understand people have different lifestyles they wish to pursue, and that's all well and good. But this is being promoted. This is being sold. I'd like to know why. Is it just another election year distraction? Keep us all so muddled up and fuddled up that we can't pay attention to what we really should be paying attention to, which is the economy and the wars. Okay, so, pardon me. New law allows Florida teachers to carry guns inside the classroom. It's a good idea. I mean, doesn't it just make common sense that somebody of ill intent coming up to a school is going to say, this is not a gun-free zone. Some of these teachers are armed and trained to shoot back at me. You think they're still going to go inside? All of these mass shootings happen in these gun-free zones, which basically, it's a shooting gallery. It says everybody's disarmed except the guy who wants to carry out the murders. Okay, Giuliani says keep your eye on Romania. Apparently there's more Biden corruption there too, as well as another country he has not named. So we'll see what happens with that as well. Alrighty, I'm going to be reading a couple, we're almost at the end of the show here, but I'm going to be reading a couple of texts that my wife sent me because, and here we go. Okay, so here's what we have going. Matt Taibbi is saying we're in a permanent coup, and he's absolutely right. In a permanent state of coup d'etat. We already talked about the central bank warning about gold will be necessary to restart the global economy here. Morgan Stanley makes the observation that 28% of the US population has a FICO score below 650, and that's pretty bad. Not too surprised about that at all. Morgan Stanley also came out with that story yesterday where they said that right now consumer spending is about the only thing holding our fragile economy together, and that the banks and retailers have to find some way, literally force Americans to borrow and buy more. It's just insane here. Okay, this is the one about this Kansas girl, 13 years old, charged with a felony for making a gun-like hand gesture. That really is amazing. Apparently, Hunter Biden has quit the board of directors of a Chinese private equity firm. This guy made so much money all over the world while daddy was VP. All right, Trump orders full withdrawal from northern Syria, warns sanctions on Turkey ready to go. Amazing here. There's a new book out called Locked Up, How the U.S. Criminal Justice System Has Become a Prison Industrial Complex. And it really has. It really has. I mean, those factory prisons, they're an industry unto themselves. And that's exactly what they were doing in Nazi Germany. That's what all those camps like, Auschwitz and everything were. I mean, you're told they were death camps. They were slave labor camps. The people were put into those camps to make war material to support the German military. So we have exactly the same thing going on here. Turkey conducts offensive in Syria for fifth day amid growing pushback. And Putin is saying he hopes there will be no new Cold War, says Russia won't be dragged into another arms race. Oh, all right, there's the music. We're going to take a commercial break here, and we'll be right back with the last segment of our program after these few words.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield Tactical Bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus magful clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AROutfitting.com.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And apparently, according to Press TV, Syrian army is moving units north to face the Turkish invasion, they are now being supported by the Kurdish fighters. So this thing could still turn into a major war between Turkey and Syria, and hopefully we're going to see cooler heads prevail. But this doesn't seem to be an age of cool heads, does it? Really, really doesn't. Anyway, the Yemenis warn about retaliatory attacks on Saudi Arabia. They're out there with their new toys, their drones and so forth. Press TV is reporting the U.S. is taking advantage of Saudi's weak military capability. And yeah, they are. The Saudis have not demonstrated much of a capability. Whatever was used to attack that refinery, it just blew right past all their defenses. Get the United States to send more of the same thing that didn't work before. And to nobody's surprise, the FBI and NSA are caught spying on American citizens illegally again. I'm watching you all the time. Jawohl. All righty, so been a development over there in Iran. As you know, the situation there has deteriorated rapidly since Donald Trump unilaterally pulled the United States out from the P5+1 Iran nuclear deal in May of 2018, following it up by slapping Tehran with a series of tough banking and energy sanctions, which did not improve their attitude. Now, I think Trump did this at the insistence of Israel, which, not satisfied to merely deny Iran nuclear weapons, which Israel has, should be pointed out, they wanted Iran to destroy their long-range non-nuclear missiles to make it easier for Israel to go on in and bomb Iran and not have to worry about something flying back the other way. The Iranians refused, and Trump pulled things out. Well, the situation is about to get worse because Iran is now setting up and getting ready to use what is called the new generation IR-9 gas centrifuges in its nuclear activity. These were not mentioned in the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. The whole new design uses uranium hexafluoride as a feedstock. And so basically, they're going back to being nuclear. And that's going to make the situation worse. Over in Hong Kong, the police have been targeted with an explosive device. And apparently, Breitbart is now reporting that Trump's former Russia aide, who will testify in the impeachment probe, has now been linked to Christopher Steele. It's curiouser and curiouser. Okay, there's the music. It's time for me to get the heck out of here. And remember, there's a substitute host today, Steve Elkins, for the John Stadtmiller Show. So stay tuned for that. And have a good evening. And I'm going to go home and get warm. Oh, man.